Welcome back to New Zealand Dairy Farmer. Dairy NZ Regional Leader Tafi Manjala is among 5 people nationally to have been awarded a prestigious Nuffield Scholarship to study the latest developments in leading agricultural countries.
What's the size of the research farm here at Jordan Valley?
The farm in itself is around about 260 hectares. The milk around 650 cows. I mean, at the moment Mark is milking 620 because it's just cow numbers based on the dry that we're experiencing at the moment.
Is there development work being carried out on the farm by way of pasture renewal?
Mark always renews his pastures every year because of the flooding component. He's probably regrassing about 60 hectares every year due to floods. But we've got an interesting demonstration here, which other people will call a trial, where we're testing pasture persistence. This has been a frustrating area for a lot of farmers around regrassing and not seeing some of those new grasses persisting. So we've got 5 different cultivars, and they're sown at 5 different sowing rates because there's the question of what is the ideal sowing rate, and replicated 5 times. And Kate Wynn, who's our regional science manager, looks after that project.
And how long has that project been running for?
This is the 2nd season of that project. It's a 5-year trial, and we're really looking forward to the results.
No conclusions as yet?
No, early days to make any definite conclusions, but it's really interesting that at lower than the recommended sowing rates, some of those pastures are getting good establishment, so it's watch the space.
Are you asking dairy farmers through regular gatherings what type of research they'd like you to be carrying out, or is the process not as formal as that?
There is a formalised process that Kate follows, and I'm sure Kate will probably have more detail around the research. But what we've done in terms of extension is we ask farmers what their needs are around information and research, and we pass that information on to the people that do the research in Northland. In this case will be Kate Wynn, and we respond to those needs.
And once you have the results from the trials, that's when you're organising field days or seminars that farmers can come and have a look at the trials themselves?
That's correct. There's been several field days here on what's happening around demonstration in Northland, but we also cover areas such as what's happening in the greater science community. So we've been privileged to have some legends in our science team in Dairy NZ come up and actually share some of their research results with farmers, and we take some of those messages on farm in our discussion groups as well.
What information are they taking away from field days such as that? There'll be written material as well as listening to presentations.
That's correct. There's the formal part, which is the presentation and the handouts that we provide, the referrals that we make to them to go on the website. But there's also another big informal network that they have amongst themselves. Through that interaction, they know about other farmers that have tried it and been successful, and then they can actually link up with those farmers outside that particular event and take things up. Another really good point that we've got is we now have what we call Dairy Connect, which is a farmer network project where we've gone out and asked farmers questions on whether they were willing to share information on different things with their colleagues. And we now have a database of farmers that are willing to share particular areas, and then we're calling on other farmers that want to know a little bit more or be connected to a farmer who's achieving good practice in a particular area so that we can link and connect them.
What about the wider role of mentoring in dairy farming, both in a practical and business sense? How do you get the best from that sort of system where those who've been there before can pass their learnings on?
I'll probably give you my response from my experience from some of the mentors that I've used over time and some of the feedback I've had from farmers that have had mentors. Mentoring is quite a really nice, smart way of fast-tracking your learning because you're talking to someone who's actually walk down the road that you're walking down. It's made the mistakes that they'll help guide you to avoid making yourself, and that works really well. But I think it's a two-way relationship. That's one of the key things with mentoring, and some mentoring programs have not worked because there hasn't been enough commitment from both parties to keep the engagement. But I think it's a huge opportunity that we've got in the dairy industry, where people are willing to share information of using mentorships.
What are the most important things a dairy farmer should be thinking about when they're thinking of a suitable mentor?
You want to think about somebody who's actually going to stretch you. I think that's probably number one. You want to think about something who's actually going to tell you what you need to know, not what you want to know. And you've got to be willing to take that advice yourself. You've got to have mentors in different parts of areas that you want to develop. So the same mentor who's going to help you on farm, for example, in helping you improve profitability may not be the same mentor that you look at when you want to improve areas such as reproductive performance.
Are there any ways in which farmers can get good advice on mentors who might be suitable for them?
Yes, I'd say the best advice is to talk to private consultants, consulting officers, people that have been in the region for a while, because over time they get to understand and know people and know what their strengths are in different areas. So it's a good starting point. Other fellow farmers are good to talk to and ask who would be a good person that you could talk to in this mentoring arrangement.
Next week on New Zealand Dairy Farmer, we head to the Waikato and visit Lai Farm. Run by Dairy NZ, Lai Farm is home to some of the most advanced indoor dairy research facilities in the Southern Hemisphere. We'll talk with Jane Lacey-Hilbert, Dairy NZ's mastitis expert, about the continuing work they're doing in the area of mastitis, and find out more about what dairy farmers can do to help themselves. We'll see you then. New Zealand Dairy Farmer is proudly brought to you by Hanson Products, providing Kiwi farmers with water system solutions for over 50 years.